Hello, everybody, and welcome to Survivor Now's preseason coverage for season 50. My name's Josh, and I'll be guiding our conversation tonight, and we'll be talking about the final six players in season 50. The six players that we've been introduced to most recently from seasons 47 to 49. With me to talk about it tonight is Abraham. Abraham, how you doing?
I'm making it. Just came back off vacation, but I'm about that survivor life now. Forget about that vacation and the good times. It's time to get in here and get these characters knocked out. These are the last six. Let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you came back from vacation just in time because we're a week away, believe it or not, from the premiere.
A week away.
Like, we have been talking about this for, I think, literal years at this point, like season 50 and who's going to come back. And we are, believe it or not, premiere is just 1 week from tonight. So let's excited to get into this. Also with us tonight is Ollie. How are you doing, Ollie?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk about these final six players. You know, some I'm rooting for and some are there. So this is going to be exciting.
Yes, definitely will be exciting. There's a lot of dialogue out there about how there's so many really recent players that are on season 50. And it's like, wow, we had like the show's whole history. Do we really need all these, recent players who we just saw? And I, in one sense, I feel that. And on the other hand, we probably should have expected this. Like, if you look at all returnee seasons in Survivor history, other than the first All-Stars, they have all skewed very recent. And while you would hope that they would maybe spread it out a little bit more, this is not surprising. And nothing against any of the five individual players from 48 and 49. But yeah, I mean, we just saw them. And I don't know. For me personally, I started podcasting with Survivor Now podcast during season 47. So like all of these people, have been here since my time on the podcast, and it doesn't feel like that long, but I guess it's like, oh yeah, this has been 2 years now. This is 4 seasons. So yeah, good amount of content that we've covered these last few seasons. So excited to get into it with you guys. Yes. So without further ado, how do we get started with season 47's sole representative this season in Genevieve? Genevieve, yes, one of the 2 Canadians on this cast, although I think the only person who's still living in Canada. But yeah, she's a lawyer. She was a kind of a dark horse contender for a lot of season 47. She started off like we heard nothing from her at all the first 3 episodes, and kind of she burst onto the scene and showed her what she's capable of as a power player in episode 4, and then kind of was a really a force to be reckoned with the whole rest of the game. She kind of, her whole journey in season 47 was around how she kind of like shut the emotional side of her off, just saw it purely from like a game decision, but then realized that she actually like cared about these people and got to know them, and opened up herself a lot, and then kind of felt like she lost some of her superpowers in the process. But it was very interesting to watch it all play out. I don't know. And she's ended up getting voted off in 5th place right before the finale. I mean, right before the final tribal council. She was the last person voted off in the season, and pretty much because she was seen as too big of a threat. She kind of had this target hanging over her for all of the post-merge. Finally caught up to her at the final 5 after some dodging immunity in pretty impressive ways. So Abraham, in your experience with former players and everything, have you met Genevieve? Like, can you give us anything from her perspective as a former player?
She's in Canada, so if she came, she only came doing like probably one of the Bryson win, but I've never actually met her in person. I have met a lot of that cast. For Genevieve, I like Genevieve. I think Genevieve just made a couple of early missteps on her season that would have kind of put her in a position to be able to actually make it to the final 3. But sometimes you don't have time to correct your play and your style. So I think she played very well. Great to see her come back or get an opportunity to come back. I think most of season 50's castaway, it wasn't a matter of who got selected. It was a matter of how many people didn't get selected. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of other players that we've been like, oh, okay, we would have we would have put those players in there, or give them a second opportunity, or they seem like they were a lot more polarizing or characters that we want to make it or something. So, but Genevieve in herself and her game style, I think it's going to fit with this cast here, because she gets basically a second opportunity to say, okay, I see where I made that misstep at. Can I correct it in this season? And you don't have a roam. So I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know who she's going to actually hitch her wagon to try to get through that first half of the game and then get to the second half of the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays.
Yes. We have our friend Bruce here in the chat saying she's a sweetheart. Met her in New York City. She's one of the, I haven't met a ton of Survivor players in real life, but I met her because she came to Milwaukee, where I live, for the premiere of season 48. And yeah, she is extremely charming and winsome, and like, you kind of get how people are, cast into her web, if you will, in the game, and how people saw her as, we cannot let this woman like get to the end. She will beat us all, because she is very smart, very competent, like very like funny and fun. That doesn't always, with certain players, it doesn't always like translate to the screen as much, but yeah, she definitely had this like magnetic energy and personality. Yeah, no, in the like little bit that I got to interact with her, you could tell why everybody is so drawn to her. So Ollie, how are you feeling about Genevieve going into this season?
Love Genevieve. I mean, look, I've finally gone over the fact that she got rid of my fave Keyshawn, so I'm going into 50 very happy. Well, I say happy, I forget, but I really like Genevieve. I think Genevieve is such a kind of good pick because she was so authentic, and I think with her being picked, she was picked more so because of gameplay. Like, she wasn't trying to be the loudest person in the room. It was just her, who she was out on the island, really resonated with fans and the show. So I really like that. We've got someone that didn't have to try too hard to be a caricature to get on 50. We see some other people later on about that. I do fear, though, for Genevieve, because I think there is a bit of recency bias, and because she's kind of come off a recent season where she kind of was such a strong kind of player in her game, I worry that people are kind of going to look at that and go, I don't want to work with that. So that's why I'm worried for Genevieve.
Yes, I mean, so we see Daryl here pointing out in the chat that people in the pre-season interviews for season 50, a lot of people are agreeing, with this assessment that oh man, she is a lethal player. She is very dangerous. Like, she got so far when nobody knew what she's capable of last time, and now we know. So yeah, there's a lot of people who have their eyes on her, and it doesn't really help that she's back there without anybody from her original season. She and Jonathan and Chrissy. They're the three people that are there with they've never played with anybody before. Abraham, do you think that puts Genevieve at like an advantage or a disadvantage, being there all by herself?
I think it's going to be an advantage. So I think now you got to go in and actually play differently versus, relying on like a relationship like we have with some of the other players, even the older players. You got Charisse. You got players that played together before. They've had opportunity to talk to each other outside of the game. So their relationship is going to be way different, but they're going to lean into that versus, okay, I need to play the game. No matter who the other 17 castaways are, I still have to play. So it's going to be interesting to see how she kind of figures out how to play the game and who she's going to bring in with her, because I think it's better for her to be solo than attached to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we see, for a lot of the players, like, the three people from David versus Goliath, the three people from season 46, the three people from season 48, especially, like, so much of the conversation around them is about like the people who they played with and like their strong ties potentially. And, oh man, we got to split them up. So it's largely seen as a disadvantage for people who, do have those strong connections. So if that's the case, then wouldn't it be an advantage to come in by yourself to be seen as a free agent? Ollie, what do you think?
It weighs up because obviously you have Genevieve, who doesn't have those pre-existing relationships, and you don't have Genevieve. Genevieve's got no one that's going to sit there and go, already want to target her. I mean, perfect example, you look at 46. Like, Q and Tiffany could be at odds. You then have like Charlie and Tiffany could be at odds as well. But on the other hand, you have reputation. And I think that's going to be the balance. Yes, she doesn't have people maybe wanting to go against her, but her reputation could precede herself. So that's where I'm kind of like, what's it going to be? Is the reputation going to hurt her? Or is it her not pre-existing relationships going to hurt or help her? We don't know.
Yeah, and it's all, I mean, I think she's well aware of this reputation that she has coming in, which is good. And I think that she, I don't know. I think that she's someone who's very adaptable. And while they're, so she's on this tribe of it's like the pink magenta tribe of like Colby, Rizzo, Kyle, Q, Aubrey, Steph, and Angelina and her. And I think that while she could be targeted for the reasons we talked about, right? About how she's coming in with a reputation as a player, she's not someone who is like some like crazy outlandish personality. Like we've seen some of these casts, like she's like a pretty normal, even keeled person. Like I said earlier, like very, fun and engaging and smart, but like she's not some off the walls like Q or Coach like personality. So I think that she's coming in with a reputation as a player more than anything else. So I think given that, she could be targeted and people would have those reasons to target her, but she's also very adaptable. And I think that on her tribe, I think it could be pretty easy for her to blend in and like, I don't know, have somebody else be the target, because looking at her tribe, you got like Rizzo, who's the, complete unknown quantity. You have Q, who's a big wild card personality. You have Colby, who hasn't played in a million years. So like there's a lot of more obvious natural targets on her tribe.
We just hope some of the players turn out to be what they look like.
What do you mean?
So no shade, but let's just hope they turn out to be. It's just dicey. It's like, okay, will Rizzo still play the same? Will he be that player? Which we're still trying to figure out what kind of player he was. Will Kobe come out with 26 days versus 39 days in the outback somewhere? And what's crazy is I started back looking at season 1 and 2, going through the season before vacation, just to get an idea of the demands of the game on players. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how that changes with a lot of these players. Yeah,
for sure. I think that she is someone who it's like fresh enough for her, because I think season 47 aired in fall of 2024. So that means it would have filmed like summer 2024. And then this was summer 2025. So she's a year out, but she's not like as top of mind as Kyle, Camilla, and Joe are. So I think she's definitely still like locked in the game sense that, she probably like, went to a bunch of events, is still very like tapped into the whole Survivor world. So I think, I don't know. I feel like she's probably in a pretty good headspace coming in. Yeah. Cool. Any more initial thoughts on Genevieve before moving on?
Queen.
Genevieve got a lot. Winner.
Yes. If you had told us after episode 3 of season 47 that there's only one person coming back for season 50 and it's Genevieve, I don't think anybody would have believed you. But as the season progressed, she's a very natural pick. Someone who I'm glad that the fans and production resonated with enough to bring back again, because she's great casting, great person, and I think she I don't know, she adds a lot to any season, so I'm excited to see her again. Very cool. So moving on to season 48, where we have not 1, not 2, but 3 people coming back to play again. Let's start off with our season's winner in Kyle. Kyle comes in, also a lawyer. And also, I don't remember if Genevieve told everyone that she was a lawyer or not, but Kyle did not, and didn't reveal it until Final Tribal Council. But yeah, he comes in, was on a winning tribe in the beginning, potentially gets swapped screwed, but he and Camilla pull off a pretty impressive move, using their idol and extra vote to take out, Thomas, who was like a big threat with a steal a vote himself on that tribe, and then kind of rode in the middle of this big, like, strong honor integrity type alliance all the way to the end, before pulling off a win and what some people would consider a big upset, because Joe was seen as the big threat to win all season, but Kyle somehow pulls off a win, and it's he wins a 5-2-1 vote, so it's not like a blowout, but it's not exactly close either. So he I don't know, so plays a pretty clean and decisive winning game. So yeah, Ollie, you clearly have feelings about Kyle's associations, at least. Tell us what you think.
Do you know what? I don't mind Kyle on the season. I do think, obviously, coming in as a very recent winner, I mean, visually, he was the latest winner, because technically no one knew who the 49 winner was.
Correct.
So obviously he does come in with a target. And I worry for him, but I think he has the capability to kind of socialize and integrate himself well. I think especially with the tribe that he's on, I don't necessarily see him going out first, but I think Daryl put it in the chat. He could be kept for a while because he's kind of good at challenges and can be seen as a shield. So I can see him kind of getting far, but not that far. I think my worry is, how is he going to think a couple steps ahead? Because I think that's what he's got to think. He's got to realize, I've already got this target, I've already had the million, I've already had the title. People are going to want to take me out at some point, so I've got to think 2 steps ahead of literally 23 other people to ensure I don't get screwed.
Yes, and I think it's good that you pointed out that he's like the most recent winner as far as everybody knows. Daryl here in the chat has pointed out that a lot of people like kind of deduced that Savannah won, but they saw Kyle win literally like less than a week before they left for season 50, and they took their phones away and everything like that. I mean, it was like 1 week from the finale to when the cast was officially announced, but they had already like entered like lockdown before that. So it was less than a week ago. People saw Kyle win in a pretty impressive fashion, pulling off, an upset against Joe, having this tight relationship with Camilla all season long. I don't know. He is definitely going to be a lot more top of mind, I think, than, a lot of other people on this cast. Maybe he's not going to be like the biggest target, but he is not, low on people's radars. Like he is, people are very aware of who he is and where he's at.
So looking at this cast, this tribe here is going one or two ways. The best players in Survivor's history are the biggest flame out ever. There is no common ground with the cast, because I mean, you have some people that have flamed out on here. This tribe got natural flame outs. Yeah. And it's like, okay, can y'all work that out? I mean, how's that? Are you going to change? I'm like, didn't you throw Rizzo in there? It's like, it's all going to depend on what 3 team up together. Not what 2. It's going to take 3 of them to get to the merge. And I just don't know what 3 is going to be like, oh, I'm going to make it to the merge. It's going to be Kyle. Kyle, people have to remember that these relationships and these gameplays develop organically as you go through the game. So Kyle, now you gotta get with someone else before you get to the merge and say, okay, I need somebody to get me to the merge.
Yeah.
But you also have other people, depending on if you winning challenges keeps you out of voting. You might go for one of the other winners. You still got D and them sitting out there. They're winners. And if their tribe loses, they're just gonna get picked off. So out of the winners, do you just pick them off first, or do you say, you know what, I'm going to align with them and see what happens? But I think Kyle's going to do well. I just think it's going to depend with, I don't see the other 2 people that maybe Genevieve and Stephanie. Because I'm looking back, you're right, Josh. I'm looking back how he played through the game and how him and Camilla came together and how successful they were. Because there's a certain level of where Camilla or Kyle never kind of let on that they were actually playing together. and you got old school players mixed with new school players. It's gonna be, you got some big personalities over there. You know,
Yeah.
are we gonna have another Rome incident with Q and Riz? I mean, what we got? So
Well,
I think Kyle's gonna do well, but I think it's gonna depend on who he aligns himself with.
and to piggyback off what you said, Abe, and to bring a comment in from Boogie's Bombs, I also think it's going to depend on how far kind of Camilla and other people get. Because if there are people that are if there are people that Kyle is associated to and they're still in the game, I think that's going to hurt him even more. Because regardless of people thinking it's going to be a fluid game and all this, their minds will straight away go, well, you worked so closely with this person in your last season. Who's to say you're not going to do it again?
Yep.
We know that Camilla will not do that again. But it's going to hurt Kyle if Camilla's in and vice versa. So I think that will kind of be a big test for Kyle as well. If Camilla's still in, how can he stop the narrative that is naturally going to occur? How can he mitigate that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I mean, I've said before that I like when winners come back because it gives us and them the opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to see them prove themselves and like, okay, what are you actually capable of? Can you replicate your success? Or was your success extremely circumstantial? Not to take away from the original win, but I feel like it's even more impressive when people can run it back. Not necessarily like win again, but to give another really strong showing and show what they're capable of, or are they just going to completely, flame out or not really find any footing? Because Kyle is obviously a very capable player. He's the sort of guy who would go far in any season. But yeah, I mean, I think given the recent nature of his win, given his tight connections with Camilla and Joe, I don't think he's like a pretty easy like first vote off this tribe, because like I don't think anybody's gonna feel too bad about voting Kyle off.
But this tribe, this is WWE dysfunctional tribe, so I'm really not sure who would be a good or a best pick for voting off first. Even in the physicality part, I'm looking at probably Kyle, Stephanie, Q with the physicality part, because Rizzo didn't do nothing in challenges. He was not a challenge.
He was great in puzzles. What are you talking about?
What the word? What season? That was a different season. That was 40.
That was in his dreams.
So I mean, it's to me, it's still a toss up for this tribe right here. I mean, it's just that you're not gonna know who's gonna shine, who's gonna rise to the top. It's gonna be interesting. I think this is gonna be the most interesting tribe out of all of them.
We have Kara here in the chat saying, "Oh, Kyle can't be first out of the tribe." And listen, I think there's definitely plenty of scenarios where he's not the first person voted off the tribe. However, if I were, to put like Vegas style odds on this whole thing, I think I would put the highest odds on Kyle being the first one out of this tribe.
You sound kind of hater race, man. That's kind of hater race, Josh.
Listen, I'm not, and that's nothing against him as a player or like what he's capable of. But if like in a season like this, when especially, you have 24 people in 26 days, it's going to be really fast paced. And given how the new era already is with that and how people are just like trying to like survive, especially in the beginning, and they'll like cling on to anything, I think that it'll be easier to pile on Kyle as a first vote off than like the case is stronger for him.
I'm voting Riz out first because I know he ain't no threat anyway. So
that is the only other thing. Rizzo, because he's like complete unknown factor and not as good at challenges. I think that is Kyle's probably best shot, but I think that it's still, I'm not going to be surprised if we see Kyle get voted off either first or like second from his tribe because of all of those factors. Yes. So, but again, I mean, if he does make it to a swap and gets to see D or Savannah, I don't know how Savannah is going to, be seen like as another winner, but I think that they are definitely incentivized to like work together. And I think all of them expressed that in their interviews. So we'll see how it goes. I think that he has a very tough path to win, I would say, but I think, like I said, he's a strong player in like socially, strategically, physically. So he is capable of making a deep run, but he has, he definitely has a lot more adverse path to victory than some of these other players do. Cool. Other thoughts on Kyle before moving on? All right, so let's move on to Kyle's buddy Joe, who finished in 3rd place in season 48. Joe is, he felt in a lot of ways like an old school casting type in the new era, in that he's a fireman, he's a dad, he's in his 40s, he's extremely strong and fit, pretty dominant in the challenges. He won 4 individual immunities and was like pretty close to a couple others. He is like, in another universe, like he could have been up there, like tied with Colby and Ozzy, or maybe even beating them in certain scenarios. But he definitely played that honesty, integrity, loyal type game, rallying other strong people around him. He wasn't as, vocal about that as maybe other people in his alliance were. Like his fellow chocolate milk lover David, but he definitely that worked out well for Joe's game. That being on a type of cast with like other people seeing this, seeing the game.
Stop drinking milk after
that. Yes, but Joe makes it to the final 3. And in a way that was shocking to him and to a lot of us viewers, like he only got 1 vote in the final 3. And again, not, I guess maybe we'll just start there. Like Ollie, Abraham, both of you, were you guys surprised to see Joe make it to the final 3 and lose?
Nope.
Tell us more.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Joe played with his heart. Joe's that solid player that you come in, and I can see him playing well with a Jonathan. Joe and Jonathan would play well together. But these tribe dynamics, they ain't looking good for him. They ain't looking good for the heart guy. If he connects with Savannah, I think that's a good thing. But Savannah is shrewd. I see Savannah utilizing him, but not taking him to the end.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yes, you mentioned Savannah. Joe is on the Orange Tribe with Savannah, Suri, Emily, Jenna, Rick, Ozzy, and Christian.
As for the votes, them votes don't make no difference, because the votes were cast only because I got that inside track. We vote off our emotions too. So instead of having somebody get no votes, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw them one of them votes. So you get 1 vote. In actuality, you probably would have got 0 votes. And then Star voted for, so that's an extra vote. So it's like, there's a vote. As long as you get enough votes to win, every other vote depends on what was the rationale behind the vote. I know the rationale was really from another person from their heart. They voted from their heart. And the gameplay is outwit, outplay, outlast. Outwit, outplay, outlast, which is the game motto. I think Joe in this particular situation here he's got to get a second. He's got to get somebody that kind of mirrored his last game, but not exactly. You don't need an exact mirror of the last game. You just need similar to, and I think Savannah is the one player on that tribe that fits it. But also you got Rick Devins on that tribe. I don't know how hungry Rick Devins is, and we'll see how hungry Rick Devins is on episode number 1. So if he's trying to prove that he's back, I want to play the game of Survivor. I've waited all these years to get my opportunity. Rick Devins going to be a problem.
Yeah. Ollie, go ahead.
I have to completely disagree with Abe in the sense of I think Joe has lucked out with this cast. You're worried about him with this cast. I think he's got a lot of people with the same mentality as him. Because he very much wanted to play with honor and integrity. And Josh, I think he did actually quite show it a lot. Because I think when you watch 48, you see that him and David are the ones really trying to push that narrative. And then it becomes him and Eva. Then it becomes him and Kyle doing it to his benefit. I feel like a lot of people on this cast, like you said, he's a very old school soul. So, like, I can see him gravitating to people like, to be fair, Abe said Jonathan, I think, is someone he could gravitate towards too. Someone like Coach, someone like Stephanie, someone like Colby, who all have this mentality that honor and integrity is great on Survivor. And I feel like he can get in with that group and kind of go back to what 48 was. Now, am I going to enjoy that? Absolutely not. Am I going to moan about that every single season, every episode? Absolutely. But I do think that Joe has got a lot going for him with this.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people with the same mentality as he had in 48. And if he continues to want to have that honor and integrity, I think he can get that group very easily in this particular cast.
Yeah, except they got some shady people on 52. So let's see how that works out for them. They playing with anything, but they cutthroat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think I agree with Ollie that he definitely has a good path going for him this season. We have Boogie's Bombs here in the chat saying, of all these players on other tribes, how does he do before merge if he can't get to similar people? I don't know. I mean, I think that he is going to be someone who is going to be seen as a huge asset, even if he's not playing with, like, you know, Colby or Coach or Jonathan or whoever. He is, because he's so strong. He was also shown, I don't know, he got an extremely favorable edit in season 48. And that's, again, really top of mind. And the last thing people saw was like, this is a guy who is strong. He is a good team player. He will ride to the end. And then most importantly, he will lose. So, like, he is not someone who is going to go to the end, even though he was hyped up as this player that's like, oh, you can't beat Joe. You got to take out Joe. He's going to beat us all. And then you get to the end and he gets one jury vote. So it's like a lot of people could be incentivized to be like, hey, I'll go to the end with him and then beat him in a jury vote. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
He got a hero edit. And I mean, when you look at the people from heroes versus villains, you've got two heroes and a villain that always loves to think he's a hero. So you've got three people there that are going to naturally go straight to Joe. So I think, like you said, he's definitely got a favorable edit, which is probably going to help him in the beginning of the game. And I do give him credit that I think he is going to have some social capital that he's going to be able to kind of get momentum of.
I think CBS saw a great, and don't get me wrong, it was a great storyline. Him and Eva was a great storyline for
sure.
Not just the game of Survivor, but just the decency of people, and him playing that hero role. And by no stretch of imagination is Eva not a beast in the game herself. So, not taking anything from either one of them, I think it was just a great marriage of players that CBS saw and was like, oh yeah, we can make some out of this, because we got impactful players in two different storylines, one being Survivor and one being their relationship. So I think that was just a win-win for CBS all the way around. I think if it wasn't for the second part and they just played the game, we might have seen something different, because now you would have voted Eva out or she would have voted you out, and we might have seen a different end to the game. But one of those players overshadowed the other one at the end. So now you got Kyle. He comes in, plays an excellent game, and he has a narrator for his game, and Camilla. If either one of them was sitting there, either one of them could have narrated all the moves that they made together against the other players, where Joe and Eva couldn't do that. They can only talk about their pathway. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he plays differently. I want to see a different Joe. I don't want to see not the honorable be Joe, because Joe's a nice guy. I met him in person. He's a nice guy. But I want to see you play different, because you don't have that second part. Now, how do you play, or who do you gravitate to? That's going to be interesting with Joe.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be I'm really glad they put him on this tribe and not on a tribe with like some of the super obvious, like, honor and integrity type people, because, I feel like looking at Emily, that's not really her style. Sari, that's not really her style. Christian, like, he can hang with the Joes of the world, but I think that's not his preferred way. I don't know. I could kind of see Ozzy and Joe butting heads. Like, they could get along, but I could also see a world where they butt heads. Who
Let's not take out the fact that Emily roasted Bruce on his return to Survivor.
Yeah.
So let's not go too far.
Yeah, no. I don't. I mean, yeah. So I don't know. This could be a tougher draw for Joe on this particular tribe, but I think I don't know. I would still be surprised if he doesn't make a deep run in this game. Just given
Joe got
everything we
Bruce
talked
got
about.
roasted. He might have something different to say about Emily, but he got roasted on episode 1 about his return. So I think
when it's all said and done, we can have Joe on the podcast, and he and Bruce can compare notes about what it's like to play with Emily.
Yeah,
that'll be.
I get roasted by Emily, but she's really. What's funny is she's the nicest person when you meet her, but she has that undercurrent of just yeah. And I'm like, but you seem so nice. Yeah, but I'm gonna cut your throat in the back there. Okay.
Yeah, we had a great time talking about Emily last week. I'm excited to see her. Cool. So moving on from Joe to our final player from season 48 and Camilla. Camilla, like I said, was in a tight duo with Kyle all season long. They were on the same original tribe. They were on the same swap tribe. They were working together the entire merge. And kind of towards the end of the game, it became the narrative that they showed, like, every episode was just like, oh, only one of us can be in the final 3. Like, which I don't know. I don't really buy that, but that's sort of what they both thought. And so they kind of had a clear, like, they knew that they would cut each other. One would cut the other at Final 4 given the opportunity, because they played such a strong game together. And Camilla definitely had a good shot of winning the whole thing had she won that Final 4 fire making challenge. But yeah, she's definitely someone who was more like not a super. She was kind of on the outside of the whole like strong honor integrity alliance, and she's not the sort of person who would typically gravitate towards that because she's like not as physically strong as a lot of these other people are, and she's no slouch. She's like she won 2 immunity challenges, but she's not the type of person who you'd see like, oh yeah, she would gravitate to the Joes and the David Kinneys and Evas of the world. She's a lot more, giving funny confessionals. She had one that, in particular, I remember that said like, this isn't all about challenges and strength. Like, if you want to do that, like, just watch the Olympics. Like, this is Survivor. Like, you don't need to do that. And I felt seen as someone who, for a long time, has never really understood the appeal of people who are good at challenges and only good at challenges. So, in a lot of ways, I've like really enjoyed and appreciated Camilla's commentary all season with stuff like that. But yeah, here she is back for season 50. Personally, I was kind of surprised that they brought her back because she's not the. I love Camilla, and I'm glad I'm glad that they validated her by bringing her back, and I'm excited to see what she brings this season. But she's not the sort of person who I feel like production normally would bring back for a season like this. What do you guys think? Were you guys like surprised, not surprised to see her this season?
When you get a duo. When you get Batman and Robin, you got to bring Batman and Robin back. You can't just bring Batman back. I think that they showed, and I've always said it, that they, even with the tribe swap, they maneuvered through disadvantages and got to the top spot. So I think that bringing Kyle back and not bringing Camilla back would be that would have been a true travesty to the game, considering that you brought Rizzo back and they right off of season 49. So I'm like, to me, they played the game the most effective way. I think no matter which one of them had gotten there, they would have been the winner of that season regardless, because they had a story to say, hey, here's our moves. Here's how we outplay, outwit, outlast everybody in this season. And we would have got the same votes. It's just that Kyle wouldn't have been there, and she would have won because Kyle would have did what she did. When Kyle needed backup on a move, she was sitting there. If you look at when you look at the tribal council for that season, she was like, don't worry about that. I got that. And she was like, this is what we did. You need that. Everybody might not look like it, but you need a second. And she's on a tribe with who is coach now versus who is coach before. Is coach looking for Jerry? He looking for a Jerry type character in this season 50. Jonathan's gonna be Jonathan. Jonathan's gonna be the workhorse.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Abraham.
Picture that just popped up there. That's a comic book.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you, Abraham, but Camilla is on the Green Tribe with Jonathan, Mike, Charlie, Coach, D, Tiffany, and Chrissy. Yeah, I mean, and I agree that she's, was in a strong duo, and it's always fun and interesting to see like duos come back and how they do. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't put it past production to bring back a male winner like Kyle and leave out his female counterpart like Camilla. That's like
CBS.
That's not, yeah, that does sound like something that production would do. So yeah, Ollie, were you excited? I mean, were you surprised or not surprised to see Camilla come back for this season?
I wasn't surprised to see Camilla come back. By the way, Josh, do you remember when you didn't pick her for the 48 draft?
Yes, I know. That was every single week. I was wanted. I got burned in the season 47 draft, and I'm like, do I follow my heart or do I go with my head? In season 48, I decided to go with my head, and it didn't work.
You should have done German, followed your heart. And what
I should have gone with my heart, and then I probably would have won.
Well, you got third, like Joe. Anyways, Camilla, love Camilla. I was happy to see Camilla come back. I think kind of similar to Genevieve, she very much had. She wasn't trying. She was very much herself. She was being authentic, and it resonated with the fans. I mean, when you look at the response of 48, I feel like the person I'm surprised out of the three of them that are there is Joe. Because from a fan perspective, Kyle and Camilla were absolute fan favorites. Everyone was rooting for them. Now, not so much Joe, so sorry. But I think...
Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, there is a certain group demographic that love Joe.
A pretty big demographic that likes Joe and the Joes of the world, and
but it was that was contributed to the storyline that was developed early on in the season, not the gameplay, the story.
No, I know. We're just throwing shade at the middle-aged mums of Facebook.
Which is like a huge demographic that keeps the show, that still watches the show, and they will always love the Joes and the Jonathans and the
because they shirtless.
Like
shirtless.
Yeah, no, I mean they love a guy who's good at challenges. Like so, I'm not, and he was hugely popular among the fans like that. And
but Camilla.
Yes,
I really hope Camilla is going to do well. I am worried for her though, because I think again she's coming off a season where you literally just saw her and Kyle like absolutely lock in and dominate. And Daryl said it in the chat earlier. Kyle getting voted out early will be the best thing for Camilla. I think, totally. And I think Camilla knows that. I think she is going to go in. I think she's going to go in viewed as a threat because, and I think Daryl said it again, she's sneaky. She was very sneaky. Like, she was able to not look like this big player when actually in reality, she was in control of that game with Kyle. And I think as long as Kyle goes early, I think that could benefit her because she can kind of sit there and go, I've not got this attachment anymore. You've got Camilla. You haven't got Camilla and Kyle. But I'm hoping she can get a footing. I think with the tribe she's on, I think she has a chance because you've got people on that tribe that I think are maybe going to put themselves in hot water quite quick. And I think Camilla can hopefully kind of lay back and try and integrate and socialize. I think if she's able to do that, then she'll be fine. If, kind of similar to Kyle, if Kyle and Camilla are both in the game too long, one of them is going to go and it's going to be the reputation. And that's what I worry.
Yeah, I'm trying to see who does on that tribe. It's going to be. She's on there with Charlie. How is Charlie going to play differently? Will Charlie and Coach Michael White is on the tribe. Tiffany is on the tribe. It's going to be interesting.
Camilla is a big fan of Coach. So
yeah, that was a lot of her pre-show interviews.
So that might be what she's looking. But again, is it Coach from his season, or is it the new coach? But I think Jonathan is the X factor on that tribe. I think for the physicality that he brings to the game, and Jonathan wants to show that, hey, I'm not just physical. So I think whoever kind of links up with him gets to the merge. After that, all bets are off.
Yeah. No, I think I'm like really interested to see how it goes for her this time. Because she was someone who was underestimated for so long in 48, and then all of a sudden like comes out, has a very big finale, and then at the end people are like, oh dang, she was a force in this game, and then a week later she goes out to play season 50. So it'll be fun. it'll be really fun to see how it goes with her. And I'm sure she's going to give great confessionals and give fun commentary on some of the ridiculous like personalities and egos that are there, and I'm here for it. Cool. So 3 players from season 48. Moving on to the final 2 players from the season, from season 49. So we have Savannah and Rizzo, and we'll talk about Savannah first. And this is a really interesting situation. There have only been a handful of times in Survivor history where someone comes back for a season immediately after playing, for returning season, immediately after playing their original season, and nobody knows who they are or like what they did, how they did, why they're there. Only like a very small handful in Survivor history, but this season we have 2 in Rizzo and Savannah. And Savannah is the first one that has won a season and then immediately came back to play the next season. She had, I don't know, in some ways you could say she had a pretty dominant win in terms of like how immediately after the merge vote, when she and her alliance got blindsided, like they kind of were running the table the whole way. She won 4 individual immunities. Tied the record for most ever by a woman, and tied the record for most ever in a single season in the new era. She was a force all game. Definitely had a huge reputation the whole time. And again, won a jury vote 5-2 to 1. So not like a landslide, but also not super close either. She was pretty like through and through a very good winner. And then we have her immediately, like, I think it's like 9 or 10 days later, she flies back out to Fiji, and then within another week or so, the game will start. So yeah, Ollie, how do you see this going for Savannah this time as such an unknown entity?
I worry mainly because I think they're going to she won, but they're not going to necessarily know how. So there is that card, and I mean, if you look at a lot of the show in like interviews, everyone is kind of saying they're big, like her and Rizzo are very big wild cards. Obviously she's a really strong challenge performer, so I think that could help her. I loved Savannah. I loved her fiery energy. And I hope she's able to bring that, but then also kind of, and I know it would have only have been like 2 weeks, but I think even within those 2 weeks, she's going to have time to reflect and go, right, I know kind of where my struggles were, so I can quickly adapt it, because she's still going to be in that mindset. She's going to be in the Survivor brain. Again, she's going to be a winner. She's going to have a target. I think this is the thing, because she's the wild card of the winners, she's either going to be the number 1 winner target, or she's going to be able to fly under the radar and have the other 2 winners kind of be the target. I don't know where that is at the moment. I hope it's the latter,
but she got selected to play 49. She prepped for Survivor.
Oh yeah,
which we all should do. Once you get the call and it kind of solidifies that you're going, you start prepping. And we saw her outcome of prepping and her challenge domination, and then in her psychological game, so it's when she first started the game, I saw she's about to get voted out first, because it's like, how is she moving through the game? But then as she settled into the game, and then she started winning challenges, and then Sophie didn't take Rizzo's idol. I mean, there were some factors in there that helped her out, but I think as my biggest concern with her going into this season is how much is left in the tank. Coming from that turnaround, because you got a couple of months to get ready, prepare, look at the challenges, see what you got to do as far as ability or any of that stuff, and now you got to go out there and perform. But and if you go back and look at some of her online posts, she said, "Hey, I prepared to go out there." Well, you don't get that time now. You basically turn and burn. You win, you come home for a second, then you turn around and you go back out to Fiji. You're sitting in Ponderosa getting ready to do your promo stuff, and then the game starts again. Mentally, we don't know how that's going to play on her, because now you got to gear up again. But physically, to me, it's just going to be like how much she got in the tank to see if we're going to see Savannah from season 49, or we're going to see her hit a wall before we even make it to the merge and be like, you know what? Thanks for the opportunity to come back out here, but hey, somebody, where's that boat at?
Yeah. I think that again, going to a lot of the preseason interviews for season 50, there was a lot of suspicion cast towards her and Rizzo for being, we don't know these people, you know, and a lot of people also think that Savannah won. So she has got the, you know, the winner thing going against her, the unknown entity thing going against her. And also a lot of the people are like, oh, I mean, these people, we don't know what they did or how they did or like why they're here, but we know that they must have made a big enough impression to get them here.
Mhm.
So I don't know, I don't trust that because we've seen in the past, I think it was Russell, Malcolm, Zeke, and Michaela are the ones who played that were like completely like sight unseen, like coming back another time. Like, I mean, there were some others like, you know, James and Amanda and Rupert that people saw a little bit of, but Savannah and Rizzo are in that like Russell, Malcolm, Zeke, Michaela category where people didn't see anything at all other than the preview for season 49. And this time, I think because of how it's gone in the past, people are like, yeah, I don't know if we want to let these people get too far because that's dangerous. So, Ollie, what are you thinking?
Every single person that has come back straight away, so done back-to-back seasons, they have always made the merge.
Yes. Yeah. I think the worst placing one was Zeke when he got 10th place in Game Changers. But yeah, no, they all did well. But I'm wondering, I personally think whether it's Rizzo or Savannah or both of them, I think this is the season where that streak breaks. Because everybody, they're just the way that everybody's like, yeah, no, I don't trust these two. Like a lot of them, you know, yeah, a lot of people were just like, yeah, I don't really know who they are, but like they got to go because we don't know who they are. Again, Savannah is a very capable player. Like, you know, socially, strategically, physically, she's a huge asset. So she is, again, the sort of player like Kyle who would make a deep run in most seasons, and I would never count her out. But I think I think it is not an advantage in her case that she is coming in. It's not because with a blank slate. I think people see that as like a threat and a huge question mark, and people are not, you know, she's starting off not on the right foot with everybody because of that. Can she work her way out of that? Remains to be seen. I wouldn't put anything past her, but definitely not looking too high.
I would be driving the yellow bus to run her over. I'll be on that bus. Hey, look, she's an easy target. Because, you know, everybody got to pick somebody.
Yeah.
Why not pick somebody? We don't know anything about her. So we know that they won't see each other as they split the tribes up. So when they come to challenge, somebody got to go. Somebody's going to be the first person voted out of Survivor 50.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think you could, she as someone who like just played in season 49, I think there's a lot of people who wouldn't feel too bad about voting her off. Like, you were just here. Like you're playing with house money. Like, we'll see you later. It's not someone. Yeah, it's not someone like Sari, who's like, you know, legend, fan favorite of the show, coming back for the first time in a while. Everyone wants to see her win. Like, I don't know. If I'm out there, I would feel bad voting Sari off. I wouldn't feel.
You just played in Australia, so I don't feel that bad.
I mean, that's different, and they haven't seen that yet. So
yeah, I know, but also you got to remember, if you vote Sari off first, the fandom are going to sit there and go, "Okay, noted. Yeah, enjoy your time."
Hey, let it get a chance.
Yeah. So on this tribe, I mean, Savannah does seem like probably the easiest one to vote off first in that sense, like path of least resistance. But who knows if her tribe wins the first couple challenges, she can maybe work her way in there. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it goes. Other thoughts on Savannah and how she can do this season?
I think it's going to be coming down to what's in her tank.
Yeah.
Can she make the turnaround?
Yeah, that's a good word. I really enjoyed her in season 49. Again, I don't think I needed anybody from season 49 to come back for season 50, but if they insisted on it, I'm glad it's her. Cool. And so moving on to her season 49 counterpart, Rizzo and Savannah were in a pretty tight duo all season long. Rizzo, part of his whole thing was that he found an idol early on and kind of just like dangled it in front of everybody for the entire post-merge, never played it until the final 5, which was the last opportunity to do so. Definitely went for the flashy moves a lot in both in the confessionals and at tribal council. And then ultimately, lost that final 4 fire making challenge to Savannah. After being part of that trio with him, Savannah and Blue Sophie, that came back from a 7-3 deficit and made it all the way to the final 4. Rizzo was seen in the trailer for season 49 during the season 48 finale, where he's like called himself, the Riz God, the man, the myth, the legend, the Riz God. And that like left a strong impression with a lot of people in the season 50 like pre-show interviews. That coupled with the fact that he's an unknown entity beyond that, I don't know. How do you think that bodes for his chances going to season 50, Ollie?
Why did you ask me first? Rizzo is a contestant on season 50. No, I'm joking. I feel about Rizzo. Rizzo is definitely the character. But he was the character pick. Because he came in with a lot of personality. That's the nice way we're going to say it. But to give him credit, he did obviously in his season, he was able to socially maneuver with an idol and keep his idol all the way into the final 5. Like, that is impressive. Like, strategically, that is impressive. But on the flip side, socially, it would have cost him the game. If he was at the final tribal council, he was never winning. And I don't think he realized that. It was probably not until he got onto the jury that they were like, you were never going to get our votes for this one thing. So I do think if Rizzo comes into 50 and tries to play like he did in 49, he'll go. He will go, like, he will be one of the early outs. However, I do feel like Rizzo is adaptable. Again, I've seen him play before. I've seen him play in orgs. He is a very adaptable player.
Really?
He is,
I never knew he played in all orgs. I just
yeah.
saw him on TV.
Okay, he's one of you. So like he has the capability of being very, very savvy. And I think if he's able to kind of go into it as a Rizzo 2.0, I could see him doing decent. Like, I will admit it. I think he just has to get past the thing of, oh my God, I'm with all of these amazing people, because he's definitely going to be starstruck. And I think, again, I know I'd be. If I was on there, I'd be. But he has to get past the starstruck and then go, right, who can I get with? Who can I position myself with to get me further? So that's where we see with him. Not sure yet.
Yeah. Abraham, how do you see that going for Rizzo in season 50? Tell us more.
I'm looking back at his old cast and I'm like, had it not been for a couple of just the way they shuffled up the game in a snake bite, if MC would have made it and wasn't voted out doing that little swap deal, she got voted out. If Sophie had took his idol, I think he's one of those players that was there by happenstance. Because when they did the first challenge and he went over and looked at the board for, what was that? Alex's board. For me, I'm like, hey, that's not the game. I mean, you play the game. And I just think that he played the game in a way that just wasn't going to get him a win. And I think he just fell in the right tribe with the right group of people. And he didn't have to play his idol because there were bigger threats. And the one opportunity to take that idol and put themselves in a better position to win Survivor that season, they didn't play it. They didn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And had they taken it, now Rizzo is gone because Rizzo wouldn't have won. There was just nothing about his game. I mean, he didn't win any challenges. He was a part of the conversation of who to vote out, but he wasn't a mastermind. So what do you put Rizzo at in 50? I'm looking at, that's why I say his tribe is it's either going to be the best tribe we've ever seen play the game of Survivor, or it's going to have a super meltdown. I'm talking about meltdown.
Yes.
I mean, because the tribe is like, okay, where does Rizzo fit with Q and Kyle and Stephanie Stephanie and Kobe and them. What does he fit? Because Rizzo's the youngest on that tribe.
Considerably the youngest on this tribe.
Yeah. Q is a wild card on the tribe, period.
Yeah.
He's a wild card. Is Kobe coming back for redemption? Or Kobe gonna realize, oh, wait a minute, I probably should have stayed back in Texas. We don't know. I'm hoping to see the best out of Kobe because he was one of the players I watched coming through. I don't think he's either gonna be first or he's not gonna make the merge.
Yeah, Rizzo is someone who, like you said, who didn't exactly play a winning game. Although he did come close, and I think there were impressive elements of it. But Rizzo always came off to me as someone who was.
Hold on, what was the impressive element? What was impressive?
I'll get there. Rizzo always came off to me in season 49 as someone who is playing to be like a production / fan favorite, and even if it's not the most like explicitly that or consciously that he's trying to do that. He just seems like, his whole vibe is like the kind of guy who's going to be like a production and fan favorite. And, I have my feelings about that archetype, but I will say about Rizzo, the thing that impressed me was that he played his idol like boldly and like used it as a like kind of a shield, and people balked at the opportunity to take him out over and over and over again. And each time they did it, I think it kind of like showed him like these people are playing scared. They're playing really conservative. They're not going to like take this shot. So I'm just going to use it. And that did get him all the way to the Final Four, but he's not someone who's ever going to win immunity or fire. Unlikely that he's going to get brought to the end. And even if he did it resonate with the jury? So like, yeah, tough path to win there. But I was impressed in a season that was like really frustrating with how people were playing so scared and playing so conservatively. He was not doing that. So I think that was cool. But you're not going to have people playing so scared and so conservatively this season.
No, that would just
be on a tribe with people who are a lot more either not going to be buying his shenanigans or are not afraid of like bold.
I'm taking shots at him.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to that in addition to the fact that he is a complete wild card. Nobody knows who he is. And they like most of the time, I feel like people are like a lot of the interviews didn't really trust him or want to work with him. I don't know if I see this going too hot for him this time around.
I think if they watched this season, they kind of got an idea. If all the players had opportunity to watch 49 to 41, it's going to be interesting how they evaluate them as far as the older players or the seasoned players on how can they fit into their game to get them further. I don't think Rizzo can come in with the same game. So for him, I think if he comes in with that same game, if I find an idol, I'm gonna be able to basically bully my way through.
Yeah,
it's not going to work. Again, that idol thing only works when you got a supporting cast with you. He had enough of a supporting cast that even if somebody voted for him, they had the numbers. And once you dominate with the numbers, it's like, when do I pick you off? Because he could have just easily not gone to fire. Could pick somebody else. But he got picked to go to fire. I don't know why he couldn't make fire, because we all practice before we get there.
Yeah, I mean, challenges in any form are not really his strength, but he like we talked about earlier, how Kyle could be like an easy first vote off. I think Rizzo is probably the next easiest vote off because we don't know this kid, we don't know why he's here, he was just here, he doesn't need to be here. Like that
you got
would feel like that seems like an easier path to vote him off than anybody else
on his tribe. I'll say that because you got Kobe, who was a beast playing Survivor. Rebooting, no. they be killing them in the comments. You got Kobe, who's coming that played the game. You got Q that has his style of playing the game. Kyle playing, Arby playing, Stephanie, Genevieve. I mean, you just have hard hitters that are not gonna fall for you got an idol, and if anything, we're gonna flush that immediately. So again, with this tribe, it's gonna be who the three. What three can work together?
Yeah, and I don't know. Rizzo might be able to work his way in there with some people, but I too, I mean, like I said, I would not be surprised if Kyle is the first person voted off, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it's Rizzo. And I said earlier, if I'm making the Vegas odds, I'd put Kyle at like 50%, I'd put Rizzo at like 40%, and I would put the rest of them at like 10%. Like I don't see this going. I feel like one of Rizzo or Kyle is probably going to be the first one voted off of this round.
I think if Rizzo is able to go in and kind of know, okay, I can't be the main, I can't be the lead here, I have to be a supporting character to start off with. And if he goes into that supporting role, I think he can then kind of navigate, because I think if he knows to take a step back and be supporting and then know when to step into the lead, like that could benefit him. If he goes in and is like, if he does all that BS, yeah,
roll that back, man. I don't know what you said.
I don't think that's gonna fly as much this season.
But you got remember when Q and man, who played with Q and they were doing the water challenge and he gave up, and how Q reacted to it.
Oh yeah.
So we know one person on the tribe. That's gonna be, like I said, a tribe either that's gonna be super good or just flaming out. Good for TV.
Yep. I think, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this shakes out for him. It's like always going to be, like I said, how it is with winners. Like it's always interesting to see how they play, what they're capable of. With people in Rizzo's situation, I was like, nobody knows him other than just this like 3-second clip of him in the preview for season 49. It's interesting to see how it goes with them, but yeah, I don't feel too great about his chances. I think if it were me and I were in his position as like, oh, I'm a fan who's like living the dream, playing in this like epic returnee season with all these players who I've like watched for so long, I would brand myself as like, hey, listen, I'm here on house money. I don't expect to win this thing. Like, but you know, Steph or Sari or Jenna or like Colby, whoever, like I'd be like, hey, you know, count me in. You're trying with you because, like, you know, I know I'm not going to win. I want to see you do well, and I want to be along for the ride. Yeah. And at least that will buy you some time. Because if you come in trying to be like, I don't know, make a name for yourself,
the risk
from the jump. Yeah, if you come in being like, oh, this is my opportunity to make a name for myself, like I don't know how well that's going to go for you. But I think if you come in and are like, yeah, listen, like, yeah, don't worry about me. I'm just here. I'm just happy to be here. That might be his best shot.
If you didn't see my season, I'm going with the injury. I got an injury and I got knocked out. Was loving it and they got an injury. Because now you got compassion. And they know why you back in the game versus saying, hey, I made it to the final four. Now they're trying to figure out, well, how did he get to the final four? What kind of game he got? Is he strategic or is he good in challenges? Now you become an instant threat. Well, I'd be like, nope, got injured. Now I'm back trying to, play a game again with the rest of y'all.
Yeah. See, the only thing is that he's playing with Savannah too. So he, like, anything that he says, both him and Savannah, like they gotta fact check each other. Like, so if it were just one of them, they would be able to like say whatever they want. But now you have someone else there that people are going to try to corroborate your story. So that'll be tougher for him to pull off. And I think he said in his interviews that he's just going to be honest because Savannah's there. He's not going to try to pull any of those shenanigans. He's just going to like be honest about.
I don't think he get out his own way, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if he can get out of his own way either. On that note, that's a good final word to end that. So on that note, we have now covered all 6 of these season 47, 49 people and all 24 players on this cast. And I've closed every episode by asking the panelists, like, okay, of these 6 players we talked about tonight, who do you see going the farthest?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Whoever's ready to go first can go first.
I can go first.
Okay.
I think, and this is not who I want to go the furthest. This is who I think is going to go the furthest. I think out of these 6, I think Joe is going to go the furthest. And I said it before. I think Joe very much lucked out with this cast, and I think he has a lot more maneuverability than the other 5 on this particular group.
I'm gonna go with Camilla, because I think she understands how to play the game. Yeah, I think she understands how to play the game and how she can fit into those different little compartments and how she can win. So I think I'll go with Camilla going far.
Okay. Just for the sake of being different, I'll say Genevieve, because I think that she, even though she has a lot of eyes on her as like a sneaky, like lethal player, I do think that there's bigger fish to fry than Genevieve. You know, there's people who won, there's people who were seen as like the robbed finalists, there's people who are like legends of this game, and Genevieve's like, hey, listen, yes, I'm a good player, but you know, I believe in her capability as a player. But I think that you two highlighted.
I would love to see the players on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me thinks I'd love to see that, but then I think that would just make me angry. So maybe I don't want to see that. But anyway, of these 6 who we talked about tonight, I think you guys highlighted the ones I would bet on. I would bet on Joe, Camilla, and Genevieve. I would bet against Kyle, Rizzo, and Savannah. So I guess on that note, of these 6, who do you guys see leaving first?
Rizzo. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Okay. For anything you want to elaborate on since we just talked about him, or
no.
you don't see? Okay.
He can't get out his own way. He's going to be first.
Ollie, how about you?
I have a hot take, and I don't want it to be her, but I feel like it could be Genevieve.
Really? Okay.
I feel like, and again, this is coming. I'm also looking at the preseason interviews. A lot of people were very wary of Genevieve. I think with Genevieve, she is, again, it was that whole reputation. Is her reputation going to precede her? So that's who I worry for. But also, I would love for it to be Rizzo.
Yeah.
I want it to be Rizzo.
I think I'm going to go with what I said earlier and say Kyle. But I think it could just as easily be Rizzo. But I'm going to say Kyle for the sake of being different. Because no one's gonna like this guy just like won $1 million and is back here with 2 of his best buds. Like, you know, easy pickings for first boot, even though he is an asset in challenges. Yeah, so I think Kyle is my choice. But yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying, Ollie, about Genevieve is a good point. But also, I'm reminded of like, you know, heroes versus villains. Like everybody is like, oh, Parvati's got to go. She's such a huge threat. And Suri too. Suri and Parvati were on everybody's mouth. And Suri, despite not being an asset in challenges, she wormed her way into the majority. Got taken out because of a split vote plus idle play and one person flipping. So a lot had to go wrong. And then Parvati makes it all the way to the end. Because I think, you know, good players find a way. And so, you know, all of these people are good players in some capacity. So I think that they all could. But yeah, I don't know. I think that Genevieve, I think she can do it.
We will find out next Wednesday.
Yes. We will find out next Wednesday on CBS. And then we will be here immediately afterwards to talk about it. Abraham.
Is it a 3-hour preview? Is it 3 hours?
The premiere is 3 hours, yes. So buckle up, get your caffeinated beverages. It's gonna be a doozy, but we will be here to break it all down afterwards and before, right, Ollie?
Yeah, that's going to say.
We will meet myself and Tori will be doing the pre-show at 7 p.m. Eastern, so we will be getting everyone.
That is going to tell a lot about how this season's going to start shaping up quick. So
yes. We also will be doing our Survivor Now podcasters draft for season 50. We just did yesterday, I believe, was the draft for the Australian Survivor. And this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern will be our player draft for season 50. So you don't want to miss that. That is always a fun time. You saw Ollie take some shots at me for season 48 draft. And so I'm sure there will be a lot of that going on later this season. So tune in for that. Make sure you join that live. We love having people in the chat for things like that.
Don't forget, if we got a Survivor Now podcast, we'll be out with Bryson Wynn doing the kickoff of the season 50.
Yeah.
Matthew and them will be out there in New York representing Survivor Now podcast. So if they come up to you, tune in. Give us some good information about the season.
This is a little plug. If you are going to the New York premiere and you want to be a part of the Survivor Now pre-show that is going to be happening at the Bryson Went event, go check out our Instagram because we've got a form in our bio where you can come and be a part of the pre-show with Cara and Matthew. So just a little plug of that as well.
Yes, got a lot of fun stuff going on in this next week leading up to season 50. And then obviously we'll have our full season's worth of coverage during season 50 with multiple episodes each week. Lots of good guests already in the books for this season. You don't want to miss it. You want to be here with us to break it all down. Ollie, Abraham, anything else left to plug?
Season 50. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started and follow along with us. At the bottom of the screen, we got on Instagram, Blue Sky at Survivor Now Podcast, at TikTok and Twitter on at Survivor Now Pod, and on YouTube. Thank you for those of you who follow along and participate in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, leave us comments, tell your friends about it, have people join. The more the word gets out, the better it is for all of us. So thank you so much for engaging with us. Thank you for following along. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And we will see you next week for the premiere of season 50.